Right now, right now. 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 Oh, I got a real good feeling.
We try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today. So we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been getting bigger. Hey guys, what's going on? Jeb here, and welcome back to Coffee and Crypto Live. This is your week daily morning show where we bring you the latest and everything Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about the drop that has just occurred on Bitcoin. As you know, Bitcoin is currently trading at $29,100. And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about why that drop has occurred and where Bitcoin will bottom out. If you've been watching this stream for the last couple of weeks, I've been telling you guys that more than likely at this point, Bitcoin is not going to go through a major breakout above 31.5 until later August, and we're probably going to have a drop down to a certain uptrending level of support, which currently gives us support around the $27,500 to $28,500 range, or the all-important level of $28,545. Right now, it seems that Bitcoin has begun that movement towards those levels of support. So today, we're going to break down that breakdown, and we're going to talk about where Bitcoin might be going next. Thank you so very much for tuning in. I do apologize for being a few minutes late. There seems to be some kind of stomach bug running around our house. My son was sick about a week and a half ago, and then I got pretty sick on Friday and Saturday, and now my wife is not feeling well. We're running a little bit behind. Do apologize for that. Definitely want to make sure that we're here on time. Thank you so much for your prayers. I know some of you guys are just praying for us almost every single day. Really, really appreciate that. Let's go ahead and read some chat. Thank you guys so very much for tuning in. We've already got over 100 people watching. We got Sean O'Brien in chat. Was the first, said, yo, what is up, Sean O'Brien? Quincy Lucas in chat. Sean Ryan Show Raw in chat. XOOOX in chat. Dan Nolan, Joe Bollier, Brecht, did I say that right? Hi, Jeb. Live from the swimming pool today. Hello from my studio. My studio, which just got a big upgrade, by the way. There's a big upgrade going on right now that you guys are going to see within the next 14 days, I do believe. Hoping in the next 14 days or so. Crispy Crypto Supreme in chat. Crypto Surge in chat. Valerie Valens... I can get this. I'm pretty sure I've pronounced your name before. Valerie Valenzuela is in chat. Good morning, Jeb. God bless you and your family. Hopefully I got that right. You'll have to tell me. I, the Beholder in chat. Queen. How it feels. You said, you know what? Not really right now, but soon. Okay. There you go. Let's see. We've got Lolo in chat. Alexander Moreno. It's Remy No Limit. Lolo again. Leonidas is in chat. Really appreciate all of you guys watching from the Burj Khalifa. That is pretty awesome. Outside's in chat. Vicky Chan said, g'day. G'day to you too, mate. All right. Let's go ahead and jump on over to CoinMarketCap. Right now, Bitcoin is down 2.51% over the last 24 hours. It's currently trading at $29,100, down 3.72% over the last 7 days, up 6.56% over the last 90 days, and up 75% year to date. Thank you to everyone who's been watching the Bitcoin market with me this year. If you guys have been watching, you'll know that I love to talk about this number right here. And whenever you may feel discouraged, whenever you may feel fearful or uncertain or doubtful, whatever it is that you may be feeling that's one of those negative emotions, I want you to remember that Bitcoin has done very, very well this year. And I also want you guys to remember that Bitcoin is not the only part of a portfolio that you ought to be building. It is important to have a well-rounded portfolio, and Bitcoin, in the grand scheme of investments, is a more risky investment. Now, it is the least risky of the cryptocurrency assets, but cryptocurrency as a whole is a relatively risky industry. At some point in the future, I'm going to teach you about a concept called beta, which is the way that you mathematically and statistically measure risk. Bitcoin, although it is one of the least risky assets in the cryptocurrency market, it is still very risky compared to many assets. So don't just look at that up 75% and forget that sometimes Bitcoin can be down 75% in a year. But in general, Bitcoin still performs very, very well. if you give it enough time. And of all the cryptocurrency assets, I think Bitcoin has the absolute strongest chance of not only being here in 10 years, but being significantly higher in market capitalization than it is today, which is why I advocate so much for it. There are a few other cryptocurrencies in that boat. Ethereum, I think, is going to be in great shape in 10 years. At this point, with the SEC lawsuit having settled, I think XRP is going to be in pretty solid shape. I think Cardano is going to be in pretty solid shape. We'll see what happens with the SEC lawsuit, but I doubt the SEC lawsuit will kill XRP following what we saw. Will kill ADA following what we saw with the XRP lawsuit. Outside of a few more in the top 25 or so, I'm not entirely confident that many cryptocurrencies are going to be here in 10 years, and they're going to be worth significantly more in 10 years than they are now. That's my criteria for wanting to invest in something in the cryptocurrency space. Will it be here in 10 years? And will it be worth significantly more in 10 years? And can I give you a good reason why I believe that? Not just is it going to go through some kind of hype cycle. Can I give you some good reason that I believe that not only will it be here in 10 years, but it will be worth significantly more in 10 years than it is now? If you apply that filter to the majority of cryptocurrencies, the majority of them are not going to pass that filter. If you apply that filter with good faith and reason and logic and based on its track record, you might be able to say, oh, I think it will, but can you from a track record say that I probabilistically and statistically can give you a high likelihood that it will meet those criteria? Not many cryptocurrencies currently fall into that basket. Every year, probably one or two more cryptocurrencies could reasonably fall into that basket, but your rank number 576 altcoin that launched last week that has one guy in his mom's basement developing it and he's got a budget of $1,000 very well may not be the next Bitcoin. Could be. That's how this channel started, and I definitely did not have even $1,000 to my name, but it is rare. And so you want to bet on people and companies and cryptocurrencies that ideally already have a track record, unless you're going for those moonbags. There is a place for moonbags, but don't make it the majority of your portfolio. All right, looking at Bitcoin, it's currently trading at $29,165, $59. It moves by the second, of course. Ethereum at $18.50, BNB down to $238, and this is really the sob story of the year. BNB has undergone quite the onslaught over the last couple of months. At one point, it was trading up here at $54 billion in market capitalization. Currently, it's down to 36. If you look at the price was at 348. Now it's down to 238. Down by $110, down quite significantly. Now, the good news here is that despite the attack from the SEC, BNB still seems to be doing relatively well in the grand scheme of things. Because if you look at all time, it's still sitting up here in this same range that it jumped into in the year of 2021. So let's give BNB some time. But what I will say is that these two double tops up here have been replaced by this triple top up down here at about 380, 330, 340. And so that's not the best look for BNB. It almost looks like it's in one gigantic bear flag, and the fundamentals look a little bit like that as well. I don't think Binance is going anywhere, to be clear, and I don't think Binance Coin is going anywhere. It's just too big. It's not too big to fail, but it is probably too big to just disappear in one short year. But, of course, it is going to undergo quite a lot of suppression over the next year or so as this case shakes itself out. Need I look any farther than XRP? XRP ended up coming back and rebounding and doing pretty well, but it was massively suppressed during the XRP lawsuit that was filed against it by the SEC a couple of years back. All right, one of the things I also want to talk about while we're on CoinMarketCap, just kind of doing a quick recap on the market cap. Bitcoin's market capitalization has continued to rally. It is obviously down slightly right now on a week-by-week basis. You can see it's continued to drop. But again, the majority of that took place because XRP came on the scene and gobbled up so much market dominance. Right now, it's sitting at 3.18%. A month ago, it was sitting at 2.09%. It's up by over 50% market dominance, as in it went from about 2% to 3%. That's about a 50% increase in its price and in its market capitalization. At the peak, it was up nearly 90% from where it began. Right now, it's trading around 70 cents. So Bitcoin did lose some market dominance to that, but that's about the only place that Bitcoin lost market dominance to in a real sense. Lost 0.1% market dominance to Ethereum, as in Ethereum went up by 0.1%. Some of the others are doing ever so slightly better than they were. But this is nothing to say, okay, an altcoin season has started. This is a blip in the radar that is, it's a flock of seagulls. It's not a B-17 trying to bomb you. It is or a B-15. What we are seeing right now is Bitcoin's taking a bit of a pit stop, letting the altcoins have a little bit of time to run and play. And then at some point in the near future, then they are going to end up probably making way for Bitcoin once again. Now, let's talk about the chart. I'm going to start over here on this chart right here because it does give me... Actually, I want to see if this chart will look a little better. Yes, this is perfect. I want to look at this chart right here because this is a chart of Bitcoin that we've been using over the last week or so. And on this chart, I have been telling you guys ever since about here, early July, first week or two of July, but really ever since the XRP lawsuit was settled about 10 to 14 days ago. The XRP lawsuit was settled on Thursday, July 13th, so that was 11 days ago. That Bitcoin was probably going to break bearish out of its then symmetrical ascending triangle pattern, which looked like this. It was probably going to break bearish below this uptrending level of support, which is very important in the recent history of Bitcoin. It defines this local high, or is defined by that local high, this bottom, this resistance, and then two more levels of support in the more recent past. I told you Bitcoin would probably end up breaking through that. We tested it once, and we were not able to hold it. We were not able to get a strong bounce, so Bitcoin ended up falling below it here on July 17th. Continued to drop below our level of support around 29.5, went down there, double bottomed around there. We were hoping for a second that the double bottom would give us a rally. Didn't happen. We kept seeing resistance on that uptrending level of resistance that we have seen be in play for the last several months. Rejected off of it on Sunday at noon, and then as of right now, we have pulled back to a fresh low. As you can see, we're also getting higher volume. This is the kind of volume I want to see if we're going to go into a short trade. If we were live, let's say, I don't know, at 2 a.m., when did this start? 5 a.m. If we were live at 4 a.m. and we saw Bitcoin come down and test this level of support, which we had set previously, you can see this level of support was in play multiple times. If you know the principles of technical analysis, you would have had this level of support drawn. I've had this level of support drawn since about, I think, right like here. I want to say I drew this on Tuesday of last week, somewhere around there. That level around 29.698. I could as easily just put it at 29.7 because it's so close. That level, if you move forward, ends up being the level that we tested and then we're not able to hold more recently, and then we broke below it. And that is the reason that you want to find these levels, because when you find these levels and you see Bitcoin break through them with confidence, as you're going to see right now, boom, then that's where you start putting your short trades. If we go down to like the 15-minute chart, even the 1-minute chart, let's just look at the 1-minute chart, because I want you to be able to identify what a real breakout looks like. This is a real breakout. This is a breakout that moved very quickly. We dropped all the way down to $29,000 in a minute. And I have a feeling, I would have to look, but I have a feeling that that is going to have quite a lot to do with liquidations. Let's go to coinglass.com/liquidation data. Looks like they coinglass.com liquidations. Where is their website? Their website doesn't want to come up. Here we go. Let's see. Maybe it's under a new... They changed it. They've changed everything over here. All right. Well, I got to get used to this because they changed their API. Anyway, if we look at the last little bit here, look at the last 12 hours, let's say, there's going to be a liquidation moment right here. Let's look down here on the 1 hour so we can see this movement. You can see there was a pretty long squeeze at 5 a.m. this morning. We saw $21 million of longs get liquidated on Binance. OKX had a $32 million long liquidation. We had a $15 million long liquidation on Huobi. And in the span of 1 hour, we saw an $85 million liquidation. Looking down here on the 5-minute, by 1 hour, I really mean 5 minutes. And actually, I believe, based on what we were seeing on that on our TradingView chart, that probably all happened in about a minute. Does that scream news and manipulation? Yes, that screams news and manipulation. Does that scream that you would have had a very difficult time catching this movement? Yes, it does scream that you would have a very difficult time catching this movement. But let me show you how you could have still caught this movement, even though it took place in the short span of less than 60 seconds. Let's just go down here to the 5-second chart. I have the highest paid version of TradingView that you can possibly get. So I can go down here to the 5-second chart, even down to the 1-second chart. You can't do that unless you have the paid version of TradingView. So sign up with the link in the description box down below. That does give our channel a kickback, full disclosure. So if you want to support the channel, that's a way you can do it. Looking on the 1-second chart, and you'll see the reason I'm doing this. This entire movement took place in the span. We dropped from 29.7 all the way down to 29.1. It took place all the way down to 29,000 in the span of 38 seconds. 38 seconds. That's wild. That is insane. So, why is that important? This trade is a trade that you would more than likely... So, let's just back up. Guaranteed you would not have caught this with an alert. Would not have caught this with an alert. It would not have happened. You would have had the alert. It would have taken you 30 seconds to log on to just find your laptop and open it, or your phone, or pull up Huobi or OKX or Binance or wherever you're trading. It would have taken you 30 seconds to open the app, at least conservatively, and by that time, the movement was already over. And by movement was already over, I mean over 80% of it was already over within 30 seconds. I mean, the majority of it took place within 30 seconds. We were at 29.1 in 30 seconds. We were down $10 below that in the rest of that 38 seconds. So you would not have caught this with an alert. What you could have done is you could have set up a trade. You could have set up an automatic trade to trigger on a couple of conditions. And different exchanges do this in different ways. But I'll show you just a couple of the ways that you could have done this. Let's look on the minute chart. Or actually, let's look on the hour chart. Sure. Looking on the hour chart, there's a couple of things that took place here that, first of all, should have signified to you that something was going on, because this didn't just happen the minute that it happened. There was evidence that something was going on before this started. If you were watching the chart going back to about 2 in the afternoon on Sunday, you would have seen continually increasing highs on volume candlesticks, continually increasing 20 moving average on volume. If you don't know, the volume has a 20 moving average through the middle of it. You can change it if you want. I wouldn't recommend it. But if you keep that at 20, which is the default, and it should be 20, I believe that's the best number. That's what we teach anyway. Then this uptrending moving average would indicate to you that something serious was taking place. From that point in time, when you saw that uptrend, you should have known, okay, something could be happening here. We bottomed out at 29.7. We bounced and did nothing productive. Put a bear flag in play. As you can see right here, bear flag is in play with the uptrending level of support. Downtrending movement right there gives us a price target of 29.4. Honestly, it could go a lot lower than that because 29.7, keep your historical context in mind. 29.7 is the most important level of support that Bitcoin had for the last month. So is it realistically going to break $300 below it? Probably not. It's probably going to break further to the downside than that. At that point, you would say, okay, looks like we're getting ready for a serious test of 29.7 because we're having a very lackluster bounce. We're having a ton of volume around the support, meaning there's a lot of fighting. The bears have been slamming this support level over and over. Remember back to principles of technical analysis, CT2A, whatever product of ours you've learned this from, we've talked about it all over the place. The more times you test a level of support or resistance, the more likely it is that you're going to break it. We've tested it no less than 4 times at this point when we had this breakout. You should have been able, by looking at this chart, to predict, okay, there's a high likelihood that we're about to have a breakout here. Did it happen in 38 seconds? Yes. In my humble opinion, did you have 6 hours of price action that was giving you some kind of warning? Hey, wait a second, something might be able to happen. Yes. Also yes. And so during that 6-hour lead up, if you happen to be looking at the chart, and I don't encourage you to look at the chart 24/7, I think that's a mistake, and I think you'll end up regretting it if you look at the chart and do nothing else. You never spend time with your family, you never spend time with your friends, you never spend time with your kids, you never sleep, you never eat, you never do anything other than look at the chart. That's not a good idea. It can become an obsession that is unhealthy. But if you happen to be looking at the chart here, or you had some kind of alert that brought it to your attention, whatever it may be, then you would have been in a position to set an automatic trade. And that automatic trade could have looked something like this. If you look back on the drops that we saw here, you can see that a short position could have been opened right here, right below the lowest low that we saw. That would have given you an entry price at 29.5. Stop loss, very tight. I'm talking like a 0.01% stop loss. I am talking such a small stop loss is not even funny. We bring this over here. We put our entry at 29.5. Again, as I said, 29.5, because our bottom over here was 29.520. We put our entry at 29.5. Let's see, 29.5. Let's just go in here and plug that in. 29,500. Not 295,000. There we go. 29.5. Then you would have caught this. You would have at least caught a lot of it. Now, you could put this higher if you want. You don't have to put it at 29.5. But that would be if you wanted to make sure that you were catching an actual breakout with the least amount of risk possible. And a lot of times I do encourage to have very low risk trades and slightly lower profit trades, because you're going to have more consistency in your trading. You're going to win more. You're going to feel better. It's going to help you win the emotional game of trading. Now, you would have wanted to use a very tight stop loss. I'm talking like a 0.05% stop loss here. So we're talking, I mean, this is a $15 stop loss, because if you're going to break bearish out of a trend like this, you are either going to smash straight through the floor and you're going to drop very hard all the way down to 29,000, which is what we did, or down to 29.2 or whatever the market would have ended up going to, or you're going to bottom out and you're going to bounce immediately, because you don't want to catch one of these wicks. And if you do, you want to be in that trade as little as possible. It is okay to risk. In my opinion anyway, losing 0.05% on the stop loss plus the trading fee, so call it 0.09% or 0.1%, on the off chance that you end up making let's say 1% in a movement. That's like a 10-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Right now, this is set up with a 20 risk to reward ratio. You see how even if you had have had this bottom come in and you bottom out and then you just bought the bottom and caught a falling knife, but you got out of it immediately, how you would have been set up in a profitable way. Yes, call it a 50-50 shot, whatever, that you would have caught a falling knife, you would have caught the bottom, and you would have had to trigger that immediate stop loss. Again, this happened within seconds. So this had to be something you would have set up before using the trading, using the exchange's tools. But if you were able to set that up, then you would have been able to have maybe, let's say, a 50-50 shot. Let's say it's a 75% likelihood that you're catching a bottom and a 25% likelihood you're actually breaking bearish. 3 out of 4 times, you lose 0.09%. 1 out of 4 times, you make 1%. That means that your risk to reward ratio is still massively in profit, and you do that 4 times. 3 times you end up losing 0.09%, so you end up losing 0.27%. 1 time you end up making 1%. You end up profiting out of those 4 trades. Hypothetically, if you were to do the math, extrapolate that, fully play that scenario out, you lose 0.27%, you make 1%. You end up gaining 0.73%. So it's a profitable idea. And so that's how you could have gone about trading this movement. Now, I know this is history, and I realize you can't go back and do this. The replay tool only is good for historical analysis. It doesn't actually allow you to go and make the trade. In the past, we don't have a time machine. But I hope through showing you how you could have gone about this trade, you can see the principles of trading and the principles of technical analysis working together in harmony that will help you to make profitable trades, set up profitable trade so that you can be ready for those movements. Now, let's talk a little bit about, and give me a 1 in chat if that was helpful, because I want to teach you guys not only, I don't want to just teach you guys theory about what the market is, why the market moves a certain way, but I also want to give you tools so that you can see progress in your day-to-day life. I want you guys to be able to sit here and say, this is how I make a trade. This is how I get set up to profit. This is how I make an investment. I want you guys to have proper, actionable tips that you can use for help. It's not my dream to necessarily give you a bunch of trade setups. It's my dream to teach you how to do it yourself, because I have the heart of a teacher, and I want you guys to know how to do this on your own, because I am not a financial advisor, and I don't have any interest in being your financial advisor. I do have an interest in coaching you guys on principles of managing your finance, but as far as giving you specific investment advice, that's not my dream. I'm not a financial advisor. That's not my goal, but I can and I do want to teach you guys how to do it yourself, because I want to see you guys be financially sovereign, which partially means being independent over the thought processes that go into managing your money. Here's a tip for you on the whole financial sovereignty front. You are not financially sovereign if somebody else is making your financial decisions. You're not. It's not happening. Unless that person is the word of God, because that is where you're going to find the best financial advice. That is where you find things that you hear other Christians on YouTube and on radio talking about, such as Dave Ramsey saying the lender is slave to the the borrower is slave to the lender. That is a biblical principle. That's not Dave Ramsey's principle. That's not my principle. That's the Bible's principle. That's the only place you should go and just listen, because it's true and it's going to be right every time. I'm not going to be right every time. Nobody's going to be right every time except for the person that wrote the Bible, which is God. So make sure that you're taking those principles and you're basing everything you do financially off of them. That's one of the things we're teaching here is biblical finance, biblical principles. Follow those. You will be blessed for it. I have been blessed for it in my life. Every time I've done what the Lord has told me to do through his word with finance, I've been blessed. But there are plenty of times where when I've done what I thought was right, or when I did what some other fallen human thought was right, I've ended up making a mistake. So the best person to be in charge of your finances is by following the principles outlined by the person that created finance, that being the Lord, and also being the one doing it yourself so that you can be financially sovereign. All of that to say, it's my dream to teach you, not to just give you free trade setups. I'm not here for you to do copy trading on, because then you are indebted and therefore a slave to the person that is giving you those copy trades. If they start messing up one day, then there you go. Now you're down that same boat. All right, now let's talk a little bit about what Bitcoin, why Bitcoin has dropped here. Obviously, we've talked extensively about why I believe this drop was going to occur, but let's talk a little bit about, let's just kind of recap that. There's a few different reasons why I believe Bitcoin was always going to drop down to 28.5. First and foremost, this rally was predicated mostly on the fact that the altcoin space just didn't completely die when the SEC launched their attack on this candlestick, June 5th. It was a Monday of 2023. The altcoin space didn't just completely evaporate, and so that was good news for everybody all around. We had a great party that, yeah, we were down 25% on most things, but they didn't just go to zero. So it seems that even if it is a hit, which all wars are, even if it's a hit, we can survive, and hopefully the cryptos that are under assault can continue to make progress despite that attack from the SEC. But at the same time, BlackRock came out and announced that they were going to have launch a Bitcoin ETF application to the Securities and Exchange Commission. Then the XRP case was settled, and we found out that XRP in and of itself was not a security, and the ICO listing to the individual investors on exchanges was not a unregistered security sale. And now the question of whether or not selling, Brad Garlinghouse, the other executive, selling about $768 million, $798 million, whatever the number is, it's in the $700 million range of XRP, half a decade ago at this point, to what they call sophisticated investors, was a sale of security. That is kind of up in the air. Seems like it may be. We'll find out. But this was overall a victory for the XRP case, even if it was a bit of a Pyrrhic victory, because there was not so much a Pyrrhic victory. I probably shouldn't have used that term, because it was a victory. We just have a little bit of a question still out there that we have to resolve. So that occurred, and that actually gave me more confidence that Bitcoin was going to drop to 28.5. Why? Very simply. Bitcoin had the perfect opportunity to break straight through 31.5, move up towards price targets that we've set up around about 34 to 36.5. You can see this this price target zone I have up here based on quite a bit of analysis we did on the stream last week. Since we were not able to break above 31.5, and since we rejected so hard the next day, and then we started coming down testing this uptrend, I became pretty confident that this was going to end up being a corrective movement that would lead into a massive cup and handle formation right here that would give us a price target once again in a similar range, potentially even higher than if we broke out 2 weeks ago, up to 34 to 36.5. But that was probably going to happen into late August, if not early September, which is overall a much healthier movement for the cryptocurrency space. Why 28.5? Well, 28.5 was the local bottom that we set here in the inter-bull market drop on the 22nd of June, 2021. It was a little over 2 years ago now. 28.545 was the exact bottom. We used that as critical resistance all throughout this market, as you can see right here, and it has become one of the most important levels in recent memory for Bitcoin chartists. There's also this uptrending level of support right here that is another one of the most important levels in recent memory for Bitcoin chartists, because it is very easily found on the logarithm chart by connecting these three bottoms, the first one being on the 30th of December 2022, then March 10th, 2023, and then on June 16th, 2023 as well. When we saw that that level was going to be significant by bouncing off of it again here on the 15th of June, we had a feeling that it may end up becoming significant again. And it's almost the perfect uptrend, because if we just extrapolate this uptrend out, it gives us a bottom of $54,000, for example, in May of 2024. That is a little bit high, but it's somewhat realistic. I could see Bitcoin trying to ride this level of support pretty much all the way through the rest of the year. We've got a price target over on this chart right here. Where is my chart? I literally have 5 different Bitcoin charts I do technical analysis on, and there's so much stuff on all of them. This box right here represents the price target I have for the end of the year between $35,000 and $50,000. If we were to continue following that uptrending level of support, that would put us right there in that box. In fact, if I just extrapolate the uptrend, because I have it on this chart too, you can see it cuts straight through the middle of that end of year price target. And so it stands to reason that Bitcoin would take a drop down to that level. It stands to reason that Bitcoin would take a bit of a pit stop. On top of that, Bitcoin only, and I say only, a little bit snarkily, but kind of seriously too, Bitcoin only rallied about $6,700 in this rally. The other two primary rallies of this year have been $7,500, or to be honest with you, about $9,000. And then right here, the rally was roughly $11,000. Seems to me that Bitcoin is going to do something similar to what it did in January and February. It's going to go through a big part of the leg, the big part of the rally, then have a correction, then go and set a new higher high. It makes sense to me, and from the technical analysis, that Bitcoin would rally the $7,000 now, pull back down to 27.8, 28.545, wherever, and then rally another $5,000 to $6,000, which would put us into this box up around 35K. That would also put us into the end of year price target that I gave for Bitcoin back in March. We will be hitting those levels in September, more than likely. Maybe late August, but probably September. That would first necessitate Bitcoin coming back and testing this uptrending level of support sometime before the second week of August. And so that's why I predicted that we would come back down to 28.545, and probably more likely this uptrending level of support sometime before that second week of August. Honestly, probably before the month of July was out. And so as of this morning, we have begun that movement, and we've started to move down to that level. All last week, I broke down for you why that is a good thing. I broke down for you over and over and over again why it is a good thing that Bitcoin breaks down to 28,545, that it breaks down to that uptrending level of support, that Bitcoin breaks down and has that correction. Because if Bitcoin does not break down and have that correction, then it starts getting into massive overextension territory. If you look on the RSI, you can see on the daily chart, we already hit 70. That's one of the highest levels that we've hit all year. That's the same level that we hit back here when we topped out on this movement. It is the same level that we hit back here when we topped out on this movement. It's the same level that we hit when we topped out here on this movement. And of course, we ended up going higher during the first leg of the rally, here in January and February, but that was the first bullish movement of the year. Stands to reason then that we would have that occur. At the same time, we've had a bearish MACD ever since the 5th of July, 2023, and that is pushing us all the way back down into that, into the zero level. When we have these bearish MACD crosses, oftentimes they will come all the way down the zero level before bouncing and rallying. There is precedence for them being bearish and then going back through a bullish cross before they hit zero. That just doesn't seem to be what's happening right now because Bitcoin rallied so far at the beginning and traded sideways so aggressively. In these cases, Bitcoin traded sideways, but it was really technically trading to the upside by about a 10-degree angle. That's not what happened in this case. Bitcoin was literally, I mean, with maybe a 2-degree inclination if you were to draw a perfect line of best fit through that. Trading to the upside, but for the most part, it was trading almost perfectly sideways, which sent MACD plummeting. MACD is probably going to continue to drop and have a bullish cross below the zero level, which is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous, to use the term that somebody used in chat for the technical analysis we're doing right now. Because if we have a bullish MACD cross below the zero level on MACD, as we are testing critical resistance as we did these last two times here and here. And if you're on a phone, that might be hard to see. So let me show you. We have the bullish MACD cross as we see here when we broke above the 25,236 level and above the 26.5 level respectively. Then that is a perfect prime time setup for a rally moving here into, you guessed it, first 2 weeks of August. People say technical analysis doesn't work. Technical analysis absolutely does work. And you know the reason technical analysis works? Because the people that are trading the market use technical analysis. That's why I love it. I've been using it for 6 years. And the basic way that I can explain technical analysis is some people don't like this because they say, oh, it's folklore. Oh, it's voodoo. It's whatever. It's this, that, or the other. It's nonsense. The thing about technical analysis that's very interesting is it's basically one gigantic self-fulfilling prophecy. But it is an accurate self-fulfilling prophecy. So you can knock it all day long if you want, that to a certain degree it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, but it works. And if you're going to have some kind of advantage when you're making a trade or an investment and you're not planning on using that, then you, my friend, are not using all of the tools at your disposal to become financially sovereign. And so that is why we teach technical analysis, and that's why I believe that the foundation of any investment should be first an understanding in the foundational project itself. Before you start trading Bitcoin, understand Bitcoin. But after that, before anything else, understand the technical analysis. Because as Dow theory has stated for over 100 years, that being the theory that explained how the Dow Jones Industrial and Rail averages moved in the early 1920s. As that theory has stated for over 100 years, the charts average everything. They bring in every bit of information. They are the nexus for information. Why? Because if information has an impact on a market, then it's a tautological definition. Then that will show up in the price. That's basically another way of saying if it impacts the price, it will show up in the price. It is a truism that is the foundation of market analytics. And so if you're looking for something to affect the price, then you should look at whether the price was affected. If you've never heard the word tautological, that's a word that I found that I learned in a poli-sci class in college, actually. Learned that word just a few years ago. It's a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. Using two words or phrases that express the same meaning in a way that is unnecessary and unusually unintentional. And so sometimes a tautological definition can be relatively unuseful, but sometimes it's the foundation of a science. For example, how do we know there's gravity? Because something goes down. If something goes down, that's how we know there's gravity. It's tautological. They both mean the same thing. Circular reasoning almost, but it's a bit like saying if you turn the light bulb on, then the light bulb came on. If the light bulb came on, you must turn the light switch on, right? In Bitcoin, if it impacts the price, then you're going to see it in the price. And if you see it in the price, it means that it impacted the price. So if you are working in a market, first learn the market. Second of all, learn the technical analysis. And then third, make sure you understand what's impacting the price. But the best thing you can do, in my opinion, is to look at the price because the markets average everything. That is the fancy, principled way of saying if it impacts the price, then you will see its impact in the price. Again, that might seem unintentionally unusual, unintentional or unusual or unuseful. But it's very important because that is the principle that says if you're looking at whether or not something is important, you're going to find it in the charts. Plain as day. If a piece of news was important in the market, it will show up in the market. If it was not, then it won't show up in the market. But the point is, however you want to look at that, it all goes back to the price. And so that's why technical analysis is so important. Is it a self-fulfilling prophecy? Kinda. But the reason that it does that is because if it has an impact on the market, it will have an impact on the market. A lot of times, if you're doing the Toyota method of trying to understand something, you'll ask the question why at least 5 times to really get to the bottom of something. When I like to help people with their finances, I like to ask the question over and over and over again, why? You've got, if you're in the red and you're losing money every month and you're draining savings because you can't figure out how to live below your means, then I'll ask you the question, why? Why is that happening? All right, well, there might be 15 different things you're spending too much money on. Maybe you're spending $800 a month on new clothes. Why are you doing that? Well, maybe you have this just overwhelming obsession with Disney Channel and you just want to dress like the kids on one of those shows. And you're just like, boom, I just want to go in. I just want to wear Gucci and Louis Vuitton and all this all day long. Why? Maybe it's a spiritual problem and you care too much about what other people think about you. And so you've got to put on a bunch of fancy clothes while you're in the middle of going broke. Maybe if we ask the question why, there's an issue of delayed gratification. You want to live big now at the expense of being broke later because you're not willing to adopt an investment mentality so that you can grow your finances into a position that they are going to be sustainable for the long run. You're not willing to do things in a sustainable way. You're willing to burn the candle at both ends and burn out your finances and probably your own spiritual health now by living above your means. If you ask why enough times, you'll get to an answer like that. If you ask why enough times on technical analysis, you'll get to the answer that if it impacts the price, then it'll show in the price. And if you see it impacting the price, then something must have impacted the price. It's tautological, but it is the basis of the explanation of why markets move the way they do and how we analyze them. That may have seemed a little bit philosophical, and to be honest, it was. But I think it's important because we have to understand the principles of trading, technical analysis, financial sovereignty, and more so that we can help you guys achieve that dream, that goal of financial sovereignty, i.e. being in control of your finances lest they control you. Why did Bitcoin drop? It had a great opportunity to break above 31K. It just wasn't ready, and so it needed a correction. Plain and simple. If you want to answer the question that I know is all of your minds, why did Bitcoin drop? It had an opportunity to break above 31K. It was not able to for various reasons. Mostly, it just didn't have the strength yet and it needed to correct. And so Bitcoin went through a correction and it will probably drop to between that uptrending level of support and the flat level at 28.7, which means it will probably drop to somewhere within this box, bounce out of it, and in the first 2 weeks of August, it'll start a rally, and hopefully by September, we'll be knocking on 31K's door again. And hopefully by mid-September, we will be breaking above 31.5 to 32. Hopefully by the end of September, we'll be sitting up around 35 to 36, somewhere in that range. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that technical analysis, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that demonstration of how you could go about trading these movements for profit in a way that is safe. Really appreciate all of you guys tuning in, and I'm so excited to teach you guys about the principles of trading, the principles of investment, the principles of technical analysis, the principles of financial sovereignty, so you can put all of these things together into one plan, one vision, one method to become financially sovereign in your life. And that is what we're working on. And I want you guys to know we have a lot of dreams at this company. One of our core values here at McAfee Media, which is the company that, I founded about 4.5, 5 years ago that owns a YouTube channel. I own the company 100%. So it's just, it's the way it works in America. You have to have a little legal business entity. That's the name of our business entity, McAfee Media. Here at McAfee, we believe in the dream mentality. And one of that, and the definition of the dream mentality, the best way to explain it is to have a dream that is so much bigger than where you are now. To have a dream that you can point towards in the Word. I believe it's Philippians 3:14. Paul says, I press on to reach the end of the race and receive the heavenly prize for which God through Christ Jesus is calling us. There's a reason that we do good works. There's a reason that we follow Jesus Christ. There's a reason that we do all things to the glory of God. We do all things as unto the Lord. Colossians 3:23. There's a reason that we do all of these things. It's because, one, we owe a debt of gratitude to Jesus Christ who died on the cross for us and saved us from hell. We are thankful for him, and so out of our love for him, we want to serve him. First and foremost, that is the first reason why we do anything in life. If you're a Christian, if you're a man of faith like I am, if you're a woman of faith like my wife is, that is the first reason why we do anything in our life is because we are eternally grateful for the man that saved us from eternal damnation. Number two, though, we do have rewards waiting for us. And so that's where that dream mentality comes in. First is gratitude, because thank you so much for doing this thing for me. If you're not a man or woman of faith, that's fine, as far as I would love for you to become one, and we can help you with that if you're interested. But I have absolutely no judgment or condemnation on you if that's not where you are right now. You might be grateful for what your parents did for you. You might be grateful for what a teacher did for you. You might be grateful for what a principal did for you, for what a coach did for you, and you want to pass that on. It starts with gratitude. But the second reason that we do good things, the second reason that we are wise with our finances, the second reason why we want to be good stewards of things is because there's a reward after. First, we're grateful. Second, we're working for a reward. Not first, we're working for a reward. That's where you get this mentality of, oh, you're just doing something for me because you're going to get something out of it, right? There's not necessarily anything wrong with that. But first and foremost, we do good things and we're good stewards because we are grateful for what others did for us. And we want to pass that on just because that's the right thing to do. But obviously, if you're a Christian, there's rewards waiting for you in heaven for your good works. They might not be on earth. You might live through hell on earth, just so you know. This is not the prosperity gospel. Absolutely not. The horrible things happen to good people all the time, and that's just the way the world works. But we are working for prizes. We are working for rewards. There are different crowns that the Bible talks about. When you get to heaven, if you are a born-again Christian because you have surrendered your life to Christ, there is not only heaven waiting for you, there are rewards in heaven waiting for you. This is the word. You can go right back into the word and you can find this yourself. I'm not making this up. You can go and find it. There's different crowns. And so similarly, in life, we're working for rewards. We are doing things for fruit in the future. And that's where the dream mentality comes in. It's a derivation of a biblical principle. We have a dream that there's going to be something waiting for us because we did this. And again, it might not be in this life. If you believe that, that's where the prosperity gospel comes from. Please be very careful because it's a dangerous philosophy. But in heaven, if you do the right thing with the right heart, there is a reward waiting for you. And so when you have that dream, you say, there is a dream. I have this dream of this thing. It's going to be amazing. And I'm building it because I'm grateful for what somebody else did for me. And I have a dream that is going to be wonderful for myself and the people around me. Then that dream mentality will fuel you. And that's why I believe so heavily in telling you guys about financial sovereignty. Because if I could paint this dream clearly enough of what it looks like to live a financially sovereign life, i.e. being in total and complete control over your finances rather than anyone or anything else being in complete control or in any control over your finances, that you may surrender it to God and let him direct it because he knows much better what to do with it than I do or than you do. Then you are going to have a life beyond your wildest imaginations financially. You're going to be able to give more than you ever thought possible. You're going to be able to do more than you ever thought possible. You're going to be able to invest more than you ever thought possible. You're going to be able to go on bigger and fancier trips than you ever thought possible, and you should not be ashamed of that. And you're going to be able to give more money to the charitable causes or your church or your own personal ministry than you ever thought possible, and you should definitely do that. And you should be able to invest more money in whatever it is that you believe you should be investing your money in. And I can help you figure out what some of those things are than you ever thought possible because you were a good steward of your money. You got control over it and you grew it because you were a good steward of it. You are not the servant that went and buried the talent in the ground. You are the servant that went and multiplied it by an order of magnitude, and you receive praises from the Lord that gave you that talent because it's not our money in the first place. It's his, and we are just in control of it and stewardship of it. So we better be dang good stewards of it. Why? Because we're thankful for what he did for us. If you're a trust fund kid, you better be a very good steward of that because you better be thankful for your parents who set that up for you. And you better not be a prodigal son that goes and squanders it on partying because eventually you're going to end up eating with the pigs. I'm sure most of you guys know that parable. All right. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. I'll just kind of take my soapbox and put it right back under my seat. But my vision is that you guys would be financially sovereign. And one of the ways that I know you can get there, one of the things that will help you guys to get there is by having the dream mentality. Having a dream. What does it look like to be financially sovereign? And the reason I bring up the dream mentality anyway is that I have a lot of dreams about what we're going to do here at the company. And you hear me talk about a lot of it. And, talk is cheap. It's easy for me to talk. But I have a vision of how I can implement a lot of these things. And it's going to take a decade. It's going to take a decade to even get the skeleton in place, but I'm very excited. And I've never, in the 6 years I've done YouTube, had so much direction and vision for what we're supposed to be doing here and how we're going to help as many people as we possibly can. And we've helped hundreds of thousands of people in our journey here. But I am so certain that I have so much more vision and direction for what we should be doing right now than I ever have before. And I'm so excited to share that with you. And I know you guys are going to love it. Thank you guys so very much. All right. Let's read some chat. First and foremost, Lolo donated $10, said, thank you. Thank you so very much, Lolo, and for everybody else watching this. If you're thankful for what I've shared with you, the only reason I'm sharing this with you is because I'm thankful for what other people have taught me. And because I want to share that with you, and if you're thankful for what I've shared with you, then go and share it with other people. Use the hashtag FinSolve all over YouTube, all over Twitter. Is that going to help with the marketing of what we do? Because that's a term that was given to me and that I've shared. Yes, it is. But the real reason I want to share that with you is because I believe it's an idea worth sharing. Because in the very first chapter of the Bible, God tells us to subdue the fish of the sea and the birds of the air and have dominion over the earth and to be good stewards of it and to go and do things in the world, surrender it to Him and give glory to Him. That is in the very first chapter of the Bible, which is 100% true. And so I believe that we should be good stewards with our money. And the only way to do that is by following the lead of the person that created it in the first place and not loving it, but loving people, using the money as a tool to help us love people correctly. That being your family, that being others, that being your church, that being your community, that being your family, that being your in-laws, your brother, sister, whoever. And make sure that you use that hashtag FinSolve. It's hashtag FINSOV. And I guarantee you guys, if the vision that I believe that I have for what this is grows into what I think it can become. And that's a big if. It's a very big if. But if this vision that I have can grow into what I believe it can become, you are going to be seeing a lot of that term over the next 30 years. Because I really, really, truly believe that it can revolutionize personal finance. I really believe that by having financial sovereignty, it will help you to have. It will be the way that you have financial peace. It will be the way that you have financial freedom, financial independence, whatever term it is that you are talking about. If you want to be in control of your finances, then you first have to get control over your finances. And so that's what I want to help you guys learn. All right. A true Christian is much less about religion, but more about a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's right. Going to church every single Sunday and not missing not missing a single Sunday service and going to 52 of them every single year does not make you a Christian. Having a relationship with Him does. Why are religious people so selective with double standards? You know, there's a funny thing. You can go and read this in the book of James, because that's a good point, and that does happen, and I'm guilty of that myself. There is I don't have it memorized, but there is a verse, there's a passage on. Here, let me pull it up really quickly. There's a passage. I'm running a little bit over today, but I really feel that there's a lot of things I need to get off my chest for you guys right now. There is a passage about what you're talking about with double standards. I'm trying to think of the phrasing. Goodness. Let me see if I can find it really quickly here. Not sure if I'm going to be able to find what I'm trying to say here. But it talks about having, I'm not going to be able to find it very quickly. I believe it's in the book of James, where the word talks about having, what is the way this is phrased? Goodness, I need to go back and memorize this. Holding two people to two different standards. Having an unbalanced weight and measure, essentially. Judging one person one way and another person another way. Having the phrase is on the tip of my tongue. Somebody can help me in chat, I'm sure. Basically holding a double standard. Having respect of persons. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Look up the phrase respect of persons, and you will find it. Romans 2:11 through 16, and I believe James talks about it as well. James 2:9. Yeah. But if you have respect of persons, ye commit sin. There you go. Plain as day. James 2:9. I found it. But if you have respect of persons, ye commit sin. It's sin to judge one person one way and another person another way if you are dealing with issues of morality. Now, I am allowed to eat anywhere in the house that I want. My son has to eat at the dinner table. There's a difference there because he's 2 and I'm 22, right? There's respect of persons there. But that's not a moral issue. Him having a bad attitude or me having a bad attitude, we're both under the rule of law. Not the government, but the moral law. It is not right for me to do it. It's not right for him to do it. Him doing it is not right. Me doing it is not right. Having a double standard when it comes to morality is sin. So as a Christian, let me just make that very clear to you, because there are people that act that way and they sometimes don't mean to, sometimes they do. Whether one person does it or another person does it, if it's sin, period, full stop. I don't want to hear anything else about it. If it's sin, it is for everyone, regardless of who it is. All right, let me just clear that up, because that is something that's a huge problem. James 2:9. Thank you, guys. All right. Appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Really, really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I know some of you guys think I'm a little bit weird, a little bit wacky for teaching these things, but let me tell you something. I have made millions of dollars in my career, and hear me where I'm going with this, because I'm not trying to be prideful, because this is actually kind of smeg on my face. I have made millions of dollars in my career, and I was not a very good steward with a lot of it. And I lost a good bit of it because I was not being a good steward of it. And I learned a lot from those mistakes. We're still in a very good position financially. We're still very much on the road towards financial sovereignty. You're always on the road towards financial sovereignty. It's a destination that you never actually reach, but it's a place that you're always pointing your steering wheel towards. But I learned so many lessons from making my first million at 19 and from, growing that and then losing a lot of it because I had all these blessings just pouring into my hand to the tunes of sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And just, it's not being good. Budgets, wisdom, discipline, lack of accountability, lack of good counsel, lack of just good stewardship in general meant that instead of having X net worth right now and being able to give X amount of dollars every single month to the causes I want, being able to do X amount of money with enjoyment that I want every single month with my family, I can do Y. And Y is still a much better number than most people at my age, and we are so very blessed. But I tell you what, I learned a lot of lessons that I want to learn once and never have to learn them again, right? And the reason that I'm in the position I'm in now, where I know that if I continue doing what I'm doing right now, I will be successful in 30 years, unless some kind of black swan events happens, some kind of cataclysm, and that happens to people. Read the book of Job. I mean, it happens, and it's sometimes no fault of the individual. Barring something from that, I know for a fact that I'm on a position to grow in the direction that I'm supposed to, because it's based on the biblical principles that I was not following as well as I should have when I was given those blessings originally. And I am going to learn that lesson one time and do my very best to not have to learn it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, even a second time. So that's why I teach what I teach. And that's why I'm very bold about it, because even if it offends some people, even if it scares some people, even if it comes across as rude or impolite or, oh, Jeb, you shouldn't be mixing Bible and finance, bah humbug. I could care less what the culture says. What I know is that by doing this, I have seen success in my life, and by sharing it with you, you will too, if you follow the word, and then sure, take some advice from me, I guess, but I'm just a megaphone for it. If I can share the word and help you to apply it in your life, in trading, in investment, in technical analysis, in the stock market, real estate, whatever we want to do in the future as well, I know that you'll be successful for it. I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in. All right. Learned a lot. One of your better streams. Thank you, Jacob Nelson. I'd like every stream to be like this. 2E Enterprises said, you are not weird or wacky. You're truly inspirational. Many of us here are here because we desperately need to hear this, especially when it comes to achieving financial sovereignty. 2E Enterprises, I believe the next year for this channel and for this company will be the greatest year that it has ever had. And this channel is turning 6 years old on November 16th of this year. That's just 3 months away. I believe the next 12 months are going to be the greatest 12 months that this company has ever seen, that this channel has ever seen, because I finally got it through my thick skull some very important principles that clearly I wasn't doing the best job of following. And so now you're in this position where you have to decide, you know what, am I going to follow this guy? Because he's sitting here admitting that he was not the best steward of money sometimes. That's a very vulnerable position for me to be in. Like, what you want to see on Instagram, the people that you follow on Instagram are like, oh, I got everything. I got a flashy Lambo. It's got $370,000 worth of debt on it. I've got the flashy penthouse. It's got $3.7 million worth of debt on it. This guy says he's made some mistakes, but he learned his lesson. I'm going to follow him and see if he actually learned his lesson. I'm going to follow him and see if he can actually grow from that. And if he does, maybe he's onto something. So I invite you on the journey that I'm on towards financial sovereignty. Again, we're in a pretty great position compared to most, but not exactly where I want to be. And it'll always be that way. We're continuing to grow. I'd love for you to grow alongside us. All right, guys. All right, guys. Really appreciate all of you guys. Okay. God made money. He gets to tell us what to do with it. That's right. That's a great way of putting it, Michael Swain. That's a great way of putting it. Not only does he get to tell us what to do with it, he's the best person to listen to for what to do with it. A Christian doesn't stay silent. Society changes, but the Bible doesn't. #few. Yeah, I have never found a blessing in being silent about the word when I thought I was supposed to share it. Ever. Not once. Maybe in the short term I received less flack or something, but the long run it never worked out for me. Because it's a biblical principle. Be bold. Be bold, Christians. And I'll say this last. Be bold. I know Christians, and I won't say any names, but I know Christians that are in their workplace and they've been there for years, and people don't know they're a Christian. And people don't learn anything about Christ from them other than they look at them and they see the way they act. And that's good. That's the best testimony you can give is the way you act. But don't be silent. Go read the book of Acts. Go read Acts chapter 2 through 4 and look at how Peter and some of the other apostles acted in the face of death. Not being fired, of being beheaded. Stephen, go read the account of Stephen. If you're a Christian, go read Acts, 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there. Go read the first half of Acts chapter 4. That is the kind of boldness that we ought to have. And if it offends people, I'm not saying go out of your way to be offensive, but the gospel is going to offend people. Christ promised that. And it might cost you growth, but in the long run, you'll be glad you did it. Because the Bible says that if you are ashamed of his name, he will be ashamed of yours before the Father. So that's just a warning. Be careful. All right. Gonna really appreciate all of you guys for tuning in. I am gonna go ahead and wrap it out. Make sure that you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to support the channel and what we're doing with our cause here, I firmly believe that what we're doing, first and foremost, is going to help you and is going to bring glory to the person that created money in the first place, and that's why we do everything we do here. But this is a business, and it's intended to generate revenue for myself, my family, and to give back to you guys so we can grow our lineup of products. I have so many dreams, and to make all these dreams come true, it's going to cost hundreds of millions of dollars. Brass tacks. It's a company. So if you want to help to support what we're doing here, then you can do that in a couple of ways. Number one, you can go and sign up for Principles of Technical Analysis. That is linked in the description box down below. It's going to teach you how to do a lot of this technical analysis that I just showed you in today's stream. That will help tremendously with the vision, and it's going to help you guys to learn how to become a technical analyst so you can do what you saw in today's stream. At the same time, if you want to sign up for Lux Algo, you should do that using coupon code JEB30, JEBB, 30 for 30% off at checkout. You're going to be so glad you did because it's an incredible technical indicator. And I do believe that it's going to help you make every penny that you spent on Lux Algo back if you actually use it. Make sure to sign up for both of those products down below. Helps to support us. It's going to help you in your journey. And that's the kind of trades that I want to set up. I want to help you guys as much as I can. And then if there's profit in that, then great. But my vision is to help you guys, and I know that there will be a kickback for that will help us to grow this business and grow our own financial sovereignty so that we can be good witnesses and examples to you. All right, guys, like I said, that's going to wrap it out for today. Before I go, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real